Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Rankin,
Here.
Vice Mayor Walter,
Here.
Councilmember Woolridge,
Here.
Councilmember Hawkins,
Here.
Councilmember Gleen,
Here.
Councilmember Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Wall.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start the meeting tonight, we are not going to have a prayer, even though we have people from Coolidge in the audience. But if you will, stand for a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and keeping those in mind that have passed on and asking for direction for this council, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. This is the first call to the public for public comment on issues within the jurisdiction of the town council. Council rules limit public comment to 3 minutes. Individual council members may respond to criticism made by those commenting, may ask staff to review a matter raised, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the council shall not discuss or take action on any matter during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. This time I have one request to speak, and it's Bruce Finstermaker.
My name is Bruce Finstermaker. I live at 3625 North Princeton Court, Florence, Arizona. I'm also a commissioner on planning and zoning. I want to request that item H and I be tabled and reconsidered till I can produce more information for the town council. I request an executive session if our town attorney approves it. I think it's downright disrespectful to tell me as a commissioner when I'm on the dais that the information that I'm requesting is too much and let's move on. When staff does that to me, I can't make an informed decision. I've got all the documents here, and I hope you consider tabling item H and I, and it refers to Anthem and Pulte Construction. Thank you.
Any other member of the audience? Seeing no movement, I'll close call to the public. Need a motion, please?
Make a motion to adjourn to Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District Number 1 Board.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn to the Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 1 Board. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item A, discussion and possible approval authorizing the district manager to execute officer's certificate relating to the Merle Ranch Community Facilities District Number 1 and the indenture of trust and security agreement dated July 1, 2012, to which it is a party necessary for omitting the requirements of indenture trustee to transfer certain monies to the prepayment account. Mr. Cafiso will be addressing you.
Mr. Cafiso, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, or I should say chairman of the board and members of the board of directors of the Community Facilities District. I was trying to think of an analogy of what's this like. It kind of reminds me sometimes when, you know, my spouse puts a shopping list in my hand and I take it to the office and I'm supposed to pick up a bunch of stuff and I drive home and I realize I didn't stop to get the stuff I was supposed to get. Basically what happened here is, and it got a little bit complicated, but back in 2012, a bond transaction was done, a very small one for one of the assessment areas out in Merrill Ranch. It was assessment area 5. And there was a provision in the document that said if the money that was supposed to be used to acquire infrastructure from Pulte was there 3 years after we did the bond transaction, it was supposed to be used to pay off the bonds. Well, it was only a couple $100,000, and we frankly all forgot that the money had never been drawn down. All the work that had needed to be done was done. The accompanying documentation hadn't been completed, though. So none of us were aware of it until we received a notice from the trustee saying, guess what, we're going to take this money, we're going to pay off the bondholders, which wouldn't have been appropriate. I mean, the work had been done, the acquisition of the infrastructure needed to occur. So we stepped in at the request of staff and representatives from Pulte, worked with the trustee. The trustee basically agreed that they would omit that action and they could do so under the document. So why we're here tonight is to ask for your approval for the interim manager of the district to be able to sign that documentation so we can draw the money and finalize the acquisition from Pulte. Again, it was really more an oversight than anything else. The documentation should have occurred, frankly, right after we finished the bond transaction in 2012. It didn't, and so now we're just trying to reverse that mistake. Just so you know, if you don't allow the interim manager to sign, the trustee won't allow us to use the money for that purpose. These trustees are very, in this case it's Wells Fargo Bank, they're very careful about what happens with instructions they have under documents as they relate to the bonds, and so they're requiring that this certificate be signed by the interim manager. They're also requiring an opinion from my law firm that a portion of the transaction is appropriate. So that's why we're here tonight. It's fairly complicated, maybe more than you wanted to know. I'm glad to give you more detail if you want, or just a motion to have to approve having the interim manager sign the certification would be appropriate.
Does any member of the council have any question, Mr. Capiso?
Nope.
Mike, how much are we talking about?
I knew you were going to ask me that, Mayor, because you always want to know about numbers. I think it's $250,000 or so, something in that general range. It's not more than that, I don't think.
Okay, and would you say that the omission was done on both parts, the town and Pulte?
Oh yeah, I think it was. I don't even. Yeah, it was. It was. I'll be honest with you. I think it's probably more Pulte because it's their responsibility to collect their money. So you know, but the fact that nobody noticed it. I mean, we get reports all the time from trustees saying, here's how much money is left. Somebody probably should have said, okay, why is there $250,000 still sitting there 3 years after it was supposed to be expended? But again, it was Pulte's money, so they probably should have been a little bit more proactive in coming forward. But remember, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we probably have 15 of these assessment areas. There's a lot of these assessment areas, a lot of paperwork. We're very careful to make sure that the work is properly done. So anytime we do one of these, we've got to have both sets of engineers sign off on all the particulars as they relate to the construction. And then we've got to get documentation from them that's complete. That we then require that Pulte actually convey the infrastructure to the district. So there's literally notebooks this thick. If you want to see them, I'm sure you could go into, staff would be glad to show them to you. So each one of those requires a fair amount of work, and the fact that one got overlooked over all that period of time is probably a compliment to the fact about how well the process actually works.
Ms. Garcia, I know we've talked about this. Have you set in process a system that we can track these from now on?
We have sat down with Pulte, and Pulte is in the room, and we are talking about a system to where we ensure that these come before the council timely.
You got anything you want to add, Mr. Pulte? Okay. Does any other member of the council have any other question? Mr. Capiso, thank you very much. Sure glad you got to come down in the rain.
It's nice.
If hearing no other discussion, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion approving and authorizing the district manager to execute an officer's certificate relating to Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District Number 1 and the indenture of trust and security agreement dated July 1, 2012, to which it is a party necessary for omitting the requirement of the indenture trustee to transfer certain monies to the prepayment account.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Everybody's heard the motion. Don't need to repeat it. Too long. Hearing none, I call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I'll make a motion to adjourn for Merrill Ranch Community Facility District's number 1 board.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn from the Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 1 Board. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item 8, public hearing and presentations. Item 8A, public hearing on a minor general plan amendment to amend the Town of Florence 2020 general plan future land use map to change the land use designation from open space to employment light industrial on approximately 9 acres that is located along the subject site. Diversion Dam Road frontage is generally bounded by the Diversion Dam Road to the south, Bonnie Brook Road alignment to the north, Padilla Road to the west, and Quail Run Road alignment to the east. And for discussion, approval, disapproval of resolution number 1562-15, a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, approving the Bonnie Brook Solar Project minor general plan amendment for case number PZ 15-47 MGPA.
Mark?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have spoke about this upcoming general plan amendment in some broader general terms over the last few weeks, if not longer, and it has reached you tonight. We have a public hearing on this general plan amendment and then also a resolution that is subject to your action tonight. This is one of 4 items that we have on the particular project, the case tonight for the Bonnie Brook Solar Project. We have the minor general plan amendment. We also have adoption later on in the agenda of the annexation ordinance, adoption of comparable zoning for the subject site, and then adoption of the solar farm zoning on the property. They are all coming to a head this evening, and this will be hopefully the last items that I'm bringing here for discussion, and we can see them go to the construction stage here pretty soon. But this is a very insignificant change to the general plan, just changing some of the open space designation that was along the south end of the property to employment light industrial to match the rest of the property. We have had no objections to this change. In fact, we've received letters of support, including from the adjacent property owner, and the Planning and Zoning Commission has sent you a favorable recommendation.
Do you member of the council have any other questions, Mark? Okay, go to public hearing. This time I open the public hearing on Resolution 1562-15. Does any member of the public have anything you want to say? Bill? You okay? Good man. Any other? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. I need a motion.
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 1562-15, a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, approving the Bonneville Solar Project minor general plan amendment for case PC 1547 MGPA.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 1562-15. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item B, presentation by Chris Knutson, Assistant Superintendent, Florence Unified School District, regarding the proposal, partial consolidation, and plan for Coolidge Florence School Districts. Mr. Knutson?
Good evening, Town Council, Mayor Rankin, and community members. I have with me tonight Sherry Wallace, the superintendent from Coolidge Unified School District. And we, on the November ballot, there's going to be a unique opportunity for both Florence Unified School District and Coolidge Unified. We're going to attempt something that's never happened in our state before. It's a partial consolidation of the Santan Valley area Coolidge schools into the Florence Unified School District. And a number of reasons why this is we're proposing this, and I'm going to let Ms. Wallace start off with the reasons why Coolidge would be willing to relinquish 34 square miles and 3 Santan Valley area schools, 2 K-8 schools and 1 high school, Santan Foothills High School. K-8 schools would be presently Santan Heights Elementary and then also Mountain Vista Middle School. I'm going to let Sherry start off.
on there.
That's okay.
Okay, that's fine. Mayor Rankin, members of the council, thank you for having us here tonight. Coolidge has been talking about pulling out of the Santan area schools for at least 45 years, I found out when I did some research on it. And the reason why is it's 25 miles from the city of Coolidge, and it takes 45 minutes to get to those 3 schools. And so we were looking at what we've had to do is we've had to duplicate a lot of programs for a small number of students. If you went just on our population at Coolidge Unified School District, we should have 1 high school, just 1,000 instead of 2. We should have 1 middle school of 800 instead of 2. We should have 2 elementary schools of about 800 each instead of 3 elementary schools. And we don't think it's really an efficient use of not only district money, but the district money is public monies. It comes from the taxpayer. So that is the reason that we started investigating it and getting some facts and figures together. Then you couple that with, we have a declining enrollment up there. We went to a 4-day school week due to economics this year. And interestingly enough, Coolidge schools have gained in population. We're up about 70 students in Coolidge. We're down 336 students in Santan Valley with those 3 schools because of a 4-day week. And you ask people in Coolidge, well, why are you sending your kids back? They go, because of a 4-day week. So you can see we have such a different culture between the 2 entities. And so that is why we proposed this, and it worked out well because our adjacent school district, because that's the only one you can consolidate with, happens to have a need. And so Chris, you can for need.
Conversely, you know, we're up to 8,500 students in the Florence Unified School District. So the last couple of years, our growth has been pretty significant. And Poston Butte presently is over 2,000 students, which is well above the capacity there. So if we were to consolidate with Coolidge and take over those 3 schools, we would assume $16 million in debt that Coolidge presently owes on those 3 schools. However, if the consolidation fails, we are conceptually approved for 2017 to build another high school in order to alleviate the growth in Poston Butte, and that's by the School Facilities Board. If we built Poston Butte back in '08 for $60 million, 30-something million was given to us by the School Facilities Board, and then the rest, I believe $27 million was paid for with a bond. We went to the voters. So the idea of this consolidation is something that will alleviate the overcrowdedness right now that we are experiencing at Poston. Let's say the consolidation does not pass. Our option is to go to the voters for a bond and try to approve that to build another high school, or we can transport Santan Valley area students back down to Florence High School. When I was principal at Florence High in 2008, you know, we were the only high school that all the students in Florence Unified came down to the high school, and we had 1,460 kids there that year, and quite honestly, that's too many for Florence High. With the growth that's coming in south of town with George Johnson's development that's going in and the growth at Anthem, presently Florence High is sitting at 830 students. We're looking at an issue here in a few years in our high schools. This consolidation idea would really help us out. And I think from a taxpayer perspective, I mean, the voters will decide whether or not it's a good idea or not. But this is something that's going to be on the ballot on November 3rd. miss anything. Any questions?
That's all your presentation? Okay. Any member of the council have any questions?
Oh, you know what, Mayor Rankin? May I say something else? We did forget a major thing, and that's on taxes. If consolidation passes, I mean, that's the main reason we're doing this. If consolidation passes, in the Santan area, the 36 square miles that are the Coolidge District, those property owners would see a 12-cent decline. Is that what I've got here? I don't have the PowerPoint. I was expecting that, sorry. And in Coolidge, there'd be a 19-cent per $100 on a decline. In the Florence Unified School District, there would be a 13-cent per $100. So, for example, on a $100,000 home that's assessed at $100,000, Florence Unified School taxes would go up $13. If you have a $200,000 assessed home, it would be $26. If it's $50,000, it'd be $750. But in Coolidge and the Santan area that's affected, both of those would go down.
Thank you, Sherry. Any questions?
But if we have to build a new high school, do you have an estimation of how much the taxes would be?
We have an estimate. It would be, and you know, of course, these are lawyers that are giving us these numbers. These are all estimates, but a number that's been floated is $1.58. And we don't even know if, you know, right now, the School Facilities Board, I mean, been a moratorium pretty much since the recession. There's no money in School Facilities Board. We don't even know what that number would be if there would be a number.
But it would be significantly more than assuming it'd be for 16 million, 3 schools versus 60 million, and I personally think that's a low number for a large high school, but 60 million for one high school.
That's a huge difference. Okay, thank you.
Karen?
I was just wondering where you would anticipate the students that would attend these schools would come from to increase the current attendance.
Well, what we would have to do is we would have to alleviate the overcrowdedness at Post and Butte by taking kids from the Walker Butte School that are 8th graders going into 9th grade and the Skyline Ranch School, the kids that are 8th graders going into 9th grade. We would have to take them to the new high school. It would be boundary changes, but it would alleviate the problem with overcrowding at Post and Butte.
And what increase in transportation costs would you anticipate?
We would also receive 10 buses from Coolidge up there that would help us with that as well.
And you're not anticipating too much difference in transportation because it's right there. Walker Butte, you can walk from Walker Butte to Foothill, Santan Foothills, so it's all in that same area.
That's if there were a bridge over that canal back there.
Well, we're going to teach them to swim.
No, we're not going to make them swim across the canal.
Well, the fire department likes to hear that.
The fire department likes to hear
I got some questions nobody else did. How far is it from here to, from the district office to the Santan Foothills High School?
27 miles.
It's a little bit farther than Coolidge, just a couple miles farther than Coolidge. What is the approximate total property value that will be incorporated into the district, assessed value?
It's much lower in the Coolidge proper area than it is in the, I want to say it's 117,000 in the Santan Valley area is the average.
134,500 is the average cost of a home in the Santan Valley area.
But we don't know what, and at this point, we have no idea what the total amount of assessed value that would be taxed on. I don't have that number.
You know what? I don't have it either.
I don't either.
But
Shouldn't that be pretty important to this? I
it
mean,
is important, but I bet you our business manager has it. They've dealt with the tax people. I usually preface my talk with, don't ask me a whole bunch on taxes, but I can tell you who to ask, because we have been working with financial advisors for months. And I don't know what that 36 square miles, that's what you're asking, Mayor? What that 36 square miles assessed valuation is. I don't know, but I can probably find out by tomorrow.
okay. Mr. Knudsen, you said that our district has 8,500 kids in it at this point, approximately, give or
Yes.
take? How many of those are out-of-district kids from Coolidge?
I approved over 200 boundary variances this year.
Just 200?
Yes.
And Sherry, let me ask you this. When you went to the 4-day school week, how many kids left your school to go to that new school out there, that new private school?
ALA?
Yes.
I don't know, but I do know that we lost 16 sophomore football players from Foothills that went there. But I don't, you know, they don't have to necessarily tell us where they're going.
Do you think that that is some of the reason that you had the drop besides the 4-day school week?
We think without, you know, having any absolute scientific proof, we believe there's 3 reasons. One was the 4-day school week. The other was a lot of competition. As you know, there's J.O. Combs, there's Florence, there's 3 or 4 different charter schools, plus within 17 miles of Santan Foothills are 13 large high schools. So we think it was that. We also think it was because we closed Mountain Vista Middle School up there, which was a walk-in school. Now they're at Foothills campus, which is 5.7 miles away. So we think those 3 reasons impacted the decline in enrollment.
At Skyline K at school, that number, total number of students has gone up 200 kids in the last 2 years. So I'm thinking a lot of the movement there was kids coming from Mountain Vista Middle School as well.
Okay. And if I understand this, this consolidation and Coolidge bailing out and us taking over has to be passed in all 3 areas. Is that correct?
That's correct. Florence Unified School District, the Santan Valley, Coolidge area, and then also Coolidge proper. 3 areas have to vote yes or it's a no.
And if you remember, in 2008, 76 school districts went for consolidation because of the school districting commission. All but 4 passed. I mean, all but 4 failed. I'm sorry, just 4 passed out of 76. So because every single area has got to pass it by a majority.
And Sherry, if I remember right, the last time the Coolidge schools tried to pass a bond, that area voted it down.
Yes, it was an override last year. Yes, there were 16 precincts, 10 passed it, the 6 in Santan Valley failed it.
So they had the controlling vote of the school district out in that one area, that 36 square miles or
They
whatever
really
it is?
don't have the controlling vote. There's less students up there, there's less teachers, there's less voters, but they just voted at a higher rate than Coolidge proper did.
But the same thing what we've had here with some of our bonds in overrides.
Our last 3 overrides failed 2-1 in Florence Unified.
So Coolidge, the citizen of Coolidge would receive a 19-cent devaluation or decrease in their tax bill.
Yes, that's correct.
The Florence Unified School District residents will get a 13-cent increase, which is about $13 on a $100,000 home. That's this year.
No, it'll be next year, because if it passes November 3rd, it won't take effect till July 1st, 2016. It'll be next year.
And Mr. Knudsen, let me ask you this. What happens, and just saying, if this consolidation fails, in 2017, the Florence Unified School District has to build a new high school. but it has to go to a vote of the people on the bond issue. What happens if that fails? What happens to the kids?
We'll bus them down here and fill Florence High School up. So we would have to probably bring Copper Basin to Florence High School and maybe even Walker Butte. If the consolidation passes, there will be 170 kids that will be alleviated at Post and Butte, and they will go as freshmen to Santan Foothills.
So in other words, you'll be bringing the kids back to Florence. Some of them were here before Post and Butte. And
Correct. We would have to bring some this way, yes.
And would they be new? Then would the district look at the out-of-state or out-of-district students coming in?
Since there is space in all the K-8s, I approve almost every boundary variance. I do not approve, because I'm over variance, I don't approve any boundary variances from Florence to Post and Butte at this point because there is no more room. However, with our budget being cut like it has in the last 8 years, we have to take kids. We have to take them. So we'll have to figure out if we got space at Florence High, we may have to change the boundaries and bring kids might have to travel a little farther like they did back in '08. Well, Florence is at 930 right now, but we had 1460 back in '08, and that was using every single available space. It was overcrowded. There were too many kids there, but that's what would happen. We would have to fill Florence High School up if we are not able to build another high school.
And you wouldn't be thinking about doing split sessions and things like that, would you?
Well, that's not something that I think is good for kids. But I mean, when we get to that point, if that happens, everything will be on the table, and possibly even including closing the boundaries to out of variance kids. If we get, in a lot of districts in the valley, like Tempe Union, 3 of their high schools are closed. They don't even accept boundary variances from outside. So that may be something that could happen too. I mean, we haven't even really sat down until after November 3rd. We'll look at that after November 3rd.
When's the Florence Coolidge football game?
October 23rd.
So we'll know about it before the vote then?
No, the vote isn't till November 3rd, but we're hosting the governing board and administration of Florence. We're trying to be very generous and inviting them to attend our Hall of Fame banquet before then we beat them.
But when we beat you, are you still going to be so happy with us?
If you guys vote for consolidation, yes.
Even if we beat you?
Yes.
We're going to take them out.
We just can't afford those 3 schools anymore, so.
Did the Coolidge District build those schools, or did the developers build them?
Did the Coolidge District build them?
Or did they inherit them from the builder?
No. Coolidge District built them. They built them with school facilities board money and a little bit of bond money. And in fact, Santan Foothills, during this whole thing, we started looking for the deed. Santan Foothills sits on leased land from the state. Only no money is exchanged. It goes from school facility board to the land trust to us to back again. And it looks like we pay $95,000 a year to lease the land Foothills is built on, but we don't. And that lease isn't up till 2079.
And our governing board
It's an interesting legal point.
Our governing board on Wednesday voted to open a position for planning principal contingent upon the consolidation passing. So we will interview and name the planning principal prior to the vote so that people know who is going to be the leader at Santan Foothills High School.
Okay. I've taken up quite a bit of time. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to ask? No. I thank you very much for both attending the meeting tonight. And Sherry, you are not going to get out of here I thank you very much for coming over, and hope that you can go back and tell your Coolidge School District that we were hospitable to you. If you don't, I know.
How did that in Coolidge?
If you don't, I know where you live. Okay. Thank you very much for attending. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've known her a long time.
Item C, presentation by the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce recognizing L&B Cantina as the Business of the Month.
Mayor Rankin, members of the council, this month's Business of the Month continued to support the community as well as the Florence Chamber of Commerce. Most recently, over a month ago, there was a major fire at the Desert Palm Apartments that displaced 3 families, totaling 15 family members, including adults and children. LB Cantina stepped up and fed those 3 families for 3 days while they were trying to recuperate and have a safe place to stay. For that reason, we want to congratulate LB Cantina for being the Business of the Month for Florence Chamber of Commerce. Give me a hand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. It was a little aside. It was interesting listening to that last discussion because I was actually on a school board for 6 years, and I actually live in Phoenix. And Mayor, you would have been a great board member. We really had a lot of fun with you. And I hope that the people of Florence really consider what was being discussed very seriously, because I think it's a move that what do they say? You can pay me now or pay me later. So on behalf of all of us at LB Cantina, we're really honored to receive this award. It's very important to us to be a part of the Florence community. L&B, Bertha and Luis, for over 40 years, and their family for over 40 years had L&B, and have always been a big part of the community. And again, like I say, we think it's very, very important that we be a part of it. And we would like to invite all of you to enjoy the finest Sonoran Mexican food served in the Southwest. And to come in, if you haven't visited us in the last year and a half since new ownership's been in there, please give us a try. You're going to find out that it's a very clean, very pretty restaurant. It has a patio that none in the state can compete with. So again, on behalf of Samantha, our general manager, and all employees at LB Cantina, thank you so much for this award, and thank you for supporting our business. Thank you.
The one thing before we give them applause, don't change my hat rack.
We won't.
We won't.
You already did that one time to me, and it got me all confused.
Fish was ugly, and you know it.
And that thing was the ugliest hat rack I'd ever seen. But your food is great. I enjoy the atmosphere up there. Your help is great. They do a good job for you, Bob, and thank you very much for being a good, outstanding citizen. When you help those families in that fire, we really appreciate it. I was over there at the fire that day. It devastating to those families, and we really appreciate, that's kind of people we want in Florence, just like what you did there, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Acceptance of the 2015 Award of Merit from the Arizona Forward for Silver King Marketplace and Padilla Park Project. Mr. Eckhoff and Ms. Bonnie Barriola will be presenting.
Mayor, members of the council, while the mayor's coming up, I'll go ahead and start. But the other night, and I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie real quickly because she's certainly much better at this kind of thing than I am. But the other night, the town of Florence and the Florence Preservation Foundation received an award for the efforts that were done on the Silver King Marketplace and Padilla Park project. There were over 125 submittals to the Arizona Forward organization. It was their first year that they took submittals statewide. There were 48 winners, and we were happy to walk away with a merit award for this project. It was packaged as one comprehensive project, the restoration efforts on the Silver King and then also the park efforts. As far as the town part, almost everybody has had a role in either the building preservation part or the park. So it's really a cumulative, comprehensive effort here that everyone needs to take a little credit for. And of course, the mayor, the council, and previous folks that served up there, and previous staff that's no longer with us, the citizens, everyone really had a role in making what turned out to be a fantastic project. And I'm going to let Bonnie kind of take over the show if I could.
Thank you, Mark.
You got 2 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you already know the history of the building and park. I'd like to share with you the process for submitting a nomination for a grant. Environmental Planning Group was a landscape architecture firm that worked on Padilla Park. They include monies in their budget each year to prepare nominations of a couple of their projects for Arizona Forward Awards. For this year, they selected Padilla Park and the Silver King Marketplace as one of the 2 projects. Mike with EPG suggested the park by itself was not a big enough project to win an award, so told Mark Eckhoff they needed to include the Silver King Marketplace and submit it in the Buildings and Structures category, Historic Preservation segment. This resulted in Mark including me. I'm explaining why I'm me here with representing the Florence Preservation Foundation is included in this presentation tonight. This resulted in Mark including me in the process since the Florence Preservation Foundation had been responsible for the primary rehabilitation of the Silver King. Just on a personal note, I was copied on their emails while I was driving back to Arkansas where we spent 6 weeks this summer. And I told Mark and Mike I'd search my computer for all the information once in Arkansas. Fortunately, I had prepared submittals for all prior awards for the Silver King, even after the town took ownership, including the submission for an Arizona Centennial Project and the Governor's Heritage Preservation Honor Award. About the 15th email I sent to Mike, in jest, I added, if this wins, I get to be one of the people going up to receive the award. Now, Mike with EPG did an excellent job in summarizing all the information about both the building and the park. Of course, Mark and I reviewed and edited everything. And I have to admit, I was very surprised when I received a copy of the final submittal packet that included the answer to the following question: who will be receiving the award at the event on behalf of the town? And it said Mark Eckhoff and Bonnie Barriola. I said, oh. So, at that time, I told Mark that if FPF would, I told Mark that APF, that if the award was presented, that if it won, that FPF would pay for both him and me to attend the dinner. After it won, I found out the dinner would cost $200 per person. But FPF did pay for your planning director, and I talked the town manager, Lisa Garcia, into attending too, and FPF also paid for her. I might add, 2 of my granddaughters also attended, but on my dime, of course, not FPF's. So I share this with y'all to let y'all know that FPF and I want to help with this and not help with this. Anyway, over the years, the Florence Town Councils and staff have worked diligently on this project and very much deserve this award. Fortunately, the Arizona Forward judging team realized this too, since it is one of only 48 awards from the 125 nominations submitted. And Mark and I would like to present this award. Are we just going to present it to the mayor, or can you just give it to the council, to the mayor?
Bonnie, on behalf of the town council and myself, thank you very much for doing all the work you've done up there, both you and Mark, and we appreciate you accepting this award on our behalf at the deal, because I didn't have $200 for the meal. And I didn't want to ask your foundation. But isn't it great, the hotel, the park, and all the hours that have gone into that, all the memories that have been made, people that aren't with us any longer. You've done a good job, both of you. Man, we really appreciate it. Here, come here, Bonnie. Mark wants to take a picture of you. Thank you, Bonnie.
Sure.
Call the next item.
Item E, presentation of Mayor's Proclamation of Appreciation.
You want to come back up here a minute? Yeah. My favorite Archie. Bonnie, this is out of my office, the Town of Florence, Office of the Mayor, in recognition of Bonnie Barriola. Proclamation. Whereas Bonnie Barriola has been a leader in historic preservation efforts in Florence for more than 25 years, and whereas Bonnie Barriola was instrumental in applying for and receiving the first Arizona Heritage Fund grant for the Chapel of the Gila Restoration Project in 1990. And whereas Bonnie Barriola is a founding member of the Florence Preservation Foundation that was established to save the Florence Silver King Hotel. And whereas Bonnie Barriola devoted more than 20 years to restoring the Florence Silver King Hotel, ensuring political and financial resources were available to complete the project after the building sat vacant for 35 years and sustained 2 fires. And whereas Bonnie Barriola represents Florence in hysteric, that too sometime, yeah, in historic preservation matters on a statewide level that includes membership in on the Arizona Preservation Foundation Board of Directors and the Arizona Heritage Alliance Board of Directors. And whereas Bonnie Barriola voluntarily submitted complex grant applications that resulted in more than $1 million in grants to restore historic buildings in Florence. And whereas the mayor and the town council of Florence wish to express its appreciation for the many dedicated years of service. Now for I do hereby proclaim September 25th, 2015 as Bonnie Barriola Day in the town of Florence, Arizona, in recognition of her contributions to our community. In witness thereof, I, Tom Rankin, have set my hand and caused the affixed seal of the town of Florence. Bonnie, congratulations, well deserved.
Is
2
this
minutes,
a-
Bonnie.
This is very embarrassing because this is one reason I give awards, so I don't have to accept them, and this is not fair that y'all had to trick me like this. I give the awards for the Katie Montano Award. Sometimes we have a special Florence Preservation Foundation Award during Historic Preservation Week, and as I have told everybody, I give awards because I don't like to receive them, but I do appreciate this, although it is very unexpected, and I do appreciate it. Just thank you.
You know, anytime, I got Bonnie in my phone, and anytime I see Bonnie's name come up, oh no. And usually it's from Chandler or from Arkansas. It's never, she's always on the road, and even when she's away from Florence, she's always thinking of Florence. Just think if everybody was, that we know that has some connection to Florence was that way, think what we could be. Bonnie, with your group and the things that you've done and the years that we've worked together, thank you very much again on behalf of the town council and myself.
Thanks, Tom. May I say one more thing?
Oh my God.
See, there he always reads. Actually, everybody in the state thinks I live in Florence, and like the Arizona Preservation Foundation and the Heritage Alliance, I always put Bonnie Barriola Florence. Although I do put my head in Chandler on my pillow, everybody thinks I live in Florence. And I do promote Florence throughout the state at the Historic Preservation Conference, etc. I will go sit down now, Tom. Thanks.
Okay, Bonnie, thank you.
Item 9, consent agenda. Consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a council member or a member of the public objects at the time the items are called. Item A, authorization to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Correctional Corporation of America, Central Arizona Detention Center, and Florence Correctional Center to provide guidance to both the Florence Fire and Police Department in the event of an incident that requires an emergency response. Item B, authorization to enter into an intergovernmental agreement to participate in the Pinal County Narcotics Task Force ACJC grant DC 16-010 for reimbursement of overtime and related expenses. Item C, approval of the resignation of Sean Gibson from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Item D, approval of the resignation from Judy Hughes from the Industrial Development Authority. Item E, recommendation of approval of the Coolidge Florence Elks Lodge number 2350 special event liquor license application for the Hells Angels Demolition Derby on Sunday, October 4th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Charles Whitlow Rodeo Grounds. Item F, recommendation of approval of the Coolidge Florence Elks Lodge number 2350 special event license application for the community event for the Anthem at Merle Ranch Community on Friday, October 16, 2015 from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Anthem at Merle Ranch Union Center. Item G, recommendation of approval of the 100 Club of Arizona special event liquor license application for the Anthem Celebrates the Arts event on Saturday, November 14, 2015 from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. at 3313 North Anthem Way, Florence, Arizona. Item H has been requested to be removed by a citizen. That item is resolution number 1563-15. Discussion, approval, disapproval of a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, approving the final plat for Merle Ranch Unit 53, requiring the provisions of the infrastructure improvements assurance or withdrawing of with recordation to secure the satisfactory constructions, installation, and dedication of required improvements, establishing a deadline for required improvements to be completed, and authorizing execution by the town manager of supporting documents. Item I, resolution. Item I has also been requested to be removed by a citizen. Resolution number 1564-15, discussion, approval, disapproval of a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, approving the final plat for Merle Ranch Unit 50, requiring the provisions of infrastructure improvements assurance or withholdings of recordation to secure the satisfactory construction, installation, and dedication of required improvements, establishing a deadline for required improvements to be completed, and authorizing execution by the town manager of all supporting documents. Item J, approval of the August 3rd, August 10th, August 17th, and August 24th, 2015 council minutes. Item K, receive and file the following board and commission minutes. 1, July 9th and August 13th, 2015 Arts and Culture Commission minutes. Item 2, June 25th, 2015 Parks and Recreation Advisory Board minutes. Item 3, August 6, 2015 Planning and Zoning Commission minutes. Mayor, members of council, that is your consent agenda before you this evening.
Does any member of the council have anything they'd like taken off the consent agenda?
Well, I'd like to have H and I pulled off for other reasons, but yes.
I'll second.
Any others?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the removal of items H and I.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exceptions H and I. Any other discussion?
No.
Any other discussion? We need a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Well,
Okay, item H, John.
okay. My questions about H and I are, I guess, directed to Mark. This deadline, if I read this correct, it's a one-year deadline. Is it 1 year from approval of this, or 1 year from the approval of the original plat approval?
Mayor, members of the council, Member Anderson, the way that the process works is that the preliminary plat for a subdivision goes to the Planning and Zoning Commission. They have a year to start their process of working on the civil engineering plans and getting the final plat applications submitted. When they get the final, then their engineering civil plans are approved. Typically, they also get grading plans approved. They may even start with some grading on the site with a grading permit. The final plat comes to you. They have a year to complete the improvements that are in the subdivision by the time that it comes here. That's more or less so under a traditional subdivision assurance format, such as a bond or a letter of credit, because those are typically tied to a strict year time frame. The type of subdivision assurance that Pulte has used, which is allowed to be used under the state rules and under the development agreement, and is used in other communities as well, is a certificate of occupancy hold. That means that we do not grant the occupancy approval for any of the structures within the subdivision until the subdivision improvements are completed. And then once they are completed, then it would go to the town engineer to certify that they have completed, and that would commence the warranty process. So when they're talking about doing a subdivision, it really is a lengthy process, because you have 6 month to a year process leading up to a preliminary plat, and then about 6 months to a year from a preliminary plat to a final plat, and then you have the completion of the improvements. That is why you typically will see them start to do some of the improvements before the final plat reaches you. They are done according to plans, and they are done with permits, but that allows them to kind of get ahead of the game. The other thing that they have going on, Mayor, Council Member Anderson, is also the filings that they have with the Arizona State Department of Real Estate, the public report requirements. So they have a lot of pieces of the puzzle that they're putting together in that process.
Well, my question was, the original, the preliminary plat was approved in January. Now we're reapproving this tonight. So when does the clock start ticking? Was it in January, or is it tonight?
Well, the first plat is a little unique, because the final plat actually had been previously approved by the mayor and council. Right. So normally it would be preliminary plats approved, they go do engineering, they go to grading, they bring the final plat to you, and in about a year they're completely done and they're selling homes. Well, what happened in this case is what we've seen several times with Pulte, is that they are trying to react to a very uncertain market, and they are changing the lot sizes because of different product that they may be putting out to market, or because of different lot size demands that buyers may have. So they got the final plat approved on this subdivision, and then decided actually that they wanted to modify some of the lots. If that plat had been recorded already, we would be coming back talking about a re-subdivision of Unit 53. That plat didn't get recorded yet, so actually this new plat is taking over that plat entirely. So normally you won't see a final plat come up twice on a subdivision, but in this case they knew that they wanted to change the lots, make some lots larger, lose some density in this subdivision before it was recorded. Therefore you're seeing this new plat. And they will have all the improvements completed and be selling homes a year from now at least.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're talking about a year from today, not a year from January.
Absolutely.
The modification actually makes it less dense on the housing, right? They're dropping, 8 homes?
Mayor, Council,
It won't be quite as crowded.
Member Hawkins, that is correct. That is a correct statement, yes.
John, is that the same question you had on item I, or is there?
Yes, it is. And I do have one other point on these. I'd like to see these plats not be part of the consent agenda in the future.
Okay, we can do that. Okay, no problem. Then we need a motion on items H and I.
I make a motion that we approve H and I.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the consent agenda to approve items H and I. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Folks, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Call the meeting back to order. If everybody sit down.
Item 10 is both unfinished and new business. Item A, ordinance number 635-15, discussion approval, disapproval of an ordinance of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, extending and increasing the corporate limits of the Town of Florence pursuant to the provisions of Title IX, Chapter 4, Article 7, Arizona Revised Statutes and amendments thereto, by annexing thereto certain territory contiguous to the existing town Arizona Bonnybrook Solar Project, annexation number 2015-02. First reading was held on September 8, 2015. Mr. Eckhoff.
Mark.
Mayor, members of the council, I'm just going to quickly overview the next three items, if I could, all at once. You've got three items. This one is going to complete the annexation of the subject property as required by state statutes. The next item is going to apply comparable zoning. The zoning in the county is general rural. This would get a residential ranchette type of zoning. That zoning is quickly then replaced by the ultimate zoning on the property, which is PUD, specifically planned unit development to support the solar project. Then, of course, there is a 30-day period for all of those items to become effective. But I'd be happy to address any questions you may have on this item or the other ones as they come up.
Any member of the council have any questions? This is the annexation, right?
This is the annexation, Mayor and Council.
Okay. Need a motion?
I make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 635-15.
And,
Bill?
well, and 636-15, right? You're going to do them both at the same time, right?
I think we have-
One at a time.
No, we have to do them one at a time, Bill.
Oh, I thought he wanted to.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 635-15. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Woolridge?
Aye.
Councilmember Hawkins?
Aye.
Councilmember Wall?
Aye.
Councilmember Galeen?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Walter?
Aye.
Mayor Rankin?
Aye. Motion passes. Welcome to town, Mick. You haven't been here very long, so.
Item B, ordinance number 363-15, discussion approval, disapproval of an ordinance of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, amending the Town of Florence zoning map by changing the zoning classification of certain parcels of land from Pinal County General Rural Zone to the Town of Florence Single Residential Ranchette Zoning District. Mr. Eckhoff.
Have anything else, Mark?
Only
Thank
if
you.
you have questions.
Any other questions? Need a motion?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance number 636-15.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 636-15. Any other discussion? Hearing none again, I'll call for a roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Walter?
Aye.
Councilmember Galeen?
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson?
Aye.
Councilmember Hawkins?
Aye.
Councilmember Wall?
Aye.
Councilmember Woolridge?
Aye.
Mayor Rankin?
Aye. Motion passes.
Item C, ordinance number 637-15, discussion approval, disapproval of an ordinance of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, approving the Bonnybrook Solar Project Plan Unit Development. Case PZ 15-48 PUD, first reading was held September 8, 2015. Mr. Eckhoff.
Mayor, Council, only if you have questions.
Anybody have any questions, Mark?
No.
No.
Need a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 637-15.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 637-15. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Woolridge,
Aye.
Councilmember Wall,
Aye.
Councilmember Hawkins,
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson,
Aye.
Councilmember Galeen,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Walter,
Aye.
Mayor Rankin.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item D,
Is
ordinance...
that all, wait a minute, Lisa, before you go forward, is that all we have on them?
Mayor, Council, actually, they are working on a map of dedication plat, and they're bringing a design review to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So you may see one more item, which will be a plat in the near future, but at this point, we're going forward with the construction process.
Good. Glad to have you. Welcome to our new residents. That's 2 more votes in town. So again, thank you very much to the company for coming in, bringing in what you're doing. We really appreciate it. Think it'll be a good asset to our community. Just start getting it built so we can start getting that revenue up at taxes, please. Okay, thank you.
Item D, ordinance number 639-15, discussion approval, disapproval of an ordinance of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, amending the Florence Town Code by striking sections 10.15 and 30.45 to 30.51 and creating a new section 1015 and 30.45 to 30.53 entitled Ordinances and Resolutions. First reading was held on September 8, 2015. I would be happy to answer any questions if council has them.
Any member of the council have any questions, Lisa? No. Okay, need a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 639-15.
Second.
Bill, do you have a question?
No, I was going to make a motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 639-15. Any other question? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item E, resolution number 1561-15, discussion approval, disapproval of a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, amending the Florence Town Council Rules of Procedure effective October 21st, 2015. This item was reviewed by council on September 8th, 2015, and at this time we're bringing it back for action. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions, Lisa?
No.
Need a motion?
I make a motion that we're approving resolution 1561-15.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 1561-15. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Got the manager's report in front of you. Is there any questions, Elisa?
Very well put together.
I do. On the Kuhn building, I know there hadn't been any much going on with it. Where's Mr. Smallage on it? I mean, is he going to be moving forward on that, or what's going on? I mean, we've gone over the 100 days.
Mr. Smallridge was contacted and notified that because of the time period that was put on the deed restrictions, that the Town of Florence would be placing this on the next agenda for council consideration of whether or not they wanted to move forward with granting additional extensions. It has gone past the 100 days. We have waived the additional 30 days pursuant to the deeds restrictions. In order to give him any more time, it will require council action. Mr. Smallridge did submit a permit to a building permit to the Community Development Department. Community Development Department is reviewing it. I am not aware at this time whether it was accepted, but Mr. Smallridge was told that unless the work was completed prior to us agendizing the next agenda, that he would be invited and we would do a formal presentation before the board. It is the Town of Florence's staff's position that we would like to see the project go forward and succeed, and we're willing to work with Mr. Smallridge to make sure that happens. but there are time restrictions and that we must comply with those time restrictions.
Thank you.
Any other questions on Lisa's report?
I just had a question about her suggesting that we have a work session to gauge the council's feelings toward incorporation efforts at a future meeting. I'd like to support that. Let's get that on schedule.
We will schedule that.
Any others of Lisa? The second call of the public. Anybody in the public want to have anything to say? Seeing no movement, I'll close the public call of the council. Bill?
No, I have nothing.
John?
I have nothing. Nothing.
Karen?
No.
Becky?
No.
Valerie? Oh, I know you do.
I do. I want to thank everybody that took the time to come out to tonight's meeting. There was a lot of amazing information presented tonight, especially regarding the FUSD, CUSD partial consolidation. I also want to welcome our newest residents into the town of Florence, and I really appreciated that tour that many of us as well. And also in looking forward, I was talking to some of our business owners who really want to bring business down to Main Street and have some concerns about signs. So I'm going to be working with the mayor and other members of council to bring that forward in the future to see what we can do to help bring some traffic down here.
Coattailing on yours, I think that there's a possibility that we can curtail or put off some of our sign coding. You know, to me, signs are very important to a small town in the business area especially, to get them recognition, to get people to come down, tell them what's down there. And I think maybe we can relax our sign code for a while and try to get these businesses more traffic. And I hope we're able to take care of that. October the 3rd, is that still the grand opening? What time? Take the mic for me, please. This is my call to the council, and I'm calling on him to answer my question.
We'll begin at 10 a.m. and have a ribbon cutting ceremony at 11.
So the open house begins at 10 with the opening ceremony at 11 o'clock?
Correct.
That's October 3rd. We want to make sure everybody is there for the grand opening of the library and the rec area. If you haven't been over there to see it, you need to go over and see it. What an improvement for Florence. And I want to thank you very much for that. I want to also remind everybody, if you got any suggestions for our 150th birthday coming up next year, and Mary, I don't think you were around here 150 years ago, but you can come to this party. But if you have any suggestions, get it into town hall so that we can put together a party. And especially if you got any extra money, I'm not talking to any developers in the house, we can all use all the donations we can. What are you laughing about? It's not funny, it's serious. We can use the donation to the Town of Florence 150th birthday club or party. We've got lots of good things planned and everything. We'll be putting it out and we'll really be working on it. But remember, Florence is going to be 150 years old. We can take all the donations we can get towards that because we don't have any money to put it on ourselves, or very little. And we can use any help we can. I'm not trying to single anybody out here tonight, but, okay. That's it. Need a motion?
Make a motion, we adjourn to executive session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn to executive session. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. We will be in executive session. We will come back to adjourn the regular meeting.